Welcome to the Wellness Enclave with Dr. Sewell. The Wellness Enclave will explore emotional health and its impact on everyday life. In the Enclave, we will address how emotional health is connected to other parts of your life, such as physical health, relationships, spirituality, and even decision making. Our goal in the Wellness Enclave is to help you become a healthier, happier you through motivation, education, and innovation. And now, the Wellness Enclave with Dr. Sewell.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wellness Enclave with Dr. Sewell. Today, I will be going off of the grid. I will be Donna. Today, we are celebrating Black Music Month, and because there is so much music in our culture to celebrate, I'm not going to be able to get to everything and all styles of music, of course, but today, with my illustrious engineer, Mr. Deshaun Smith, we're going to be just playing primarily music. Every now and again, I might jump in and talk about the different styles, but not a lot. I just want you guys to sit back, listen, and enjoy. So, what I want to do, Mr. Deshaun, is do this. I'm going to do a minor, little bit off. So, here's the thing. Black Music Month was started during Carter's presidency. I can't remember what year, but it was started in June. He declared it Black Music Month in June of sometime in his presidency, sometime in the 70s. So a lot of people don't know that. Music has been very instrumental in a lot of people's lives, but specifically African Americans. Mm-hmm. It's been instrumental in terms of when we were slaves, and no, I'm not going to talk about that for a long period of time because I don't want to upset anybody and all that other good stuff. But in terms of us comforting ourselves, in terms of us sending messages to one another across the fields when we were picking cotton and doing a number of other things, that has always been a way for us to get messages to others. You know, even plans to others, not just a basic message, but plans to others, and also. It's always been, and you've heard me say this, a lot of times it's a soundtrack to our lives. A lot of times, depending on, you can listen to the music, and you can listen to the lyrics, and you can kind of go back in time, let's say from about maybe 1930s on up, and you can say, oh, that's what was going on at that time, if it's good music. Because as I always say to you, good art and music falls in that category, it will stand the test of time. Yep. So today, we're going to have two parts to this because it is so much music. So I'm going to do, of course, one segment today. The second segment will be done at the end of the month. I'm saying that because of this. What I want to do is start out with just the different genres of music, the singular or individual genres of music. For those of you who love hip-hop, I am not going to cover hip-hop today. I'm going to cover it in the second segment, so I don't want anybody getting upset when we end this segment and saying, okay, you're trying to push hip-hop out. Nope, I'm going to give hip-hop almost its own segment, okay? So a lot of what we're going to listen to at the end of the month, I think is like June 26th or 27th or somewhere around there, then that will be primarily hip-hop. So, of course, music started out with spirituals. A lot of our music started out with spirituals and gospel music. So what I want to do right now is I want you to hit me with a taste of my girl, Aretha.
I got you.
Okay. All right.
I got
Right, that was my girl Aretha Franklin right there. I don't want to get too old school on you guys because you might turn the radio off. So I kind of had to put it right there, put it right there in the middle. So after, of course, what we have other derivatives of music. One of the things that you're going to hear me say is that one type of music maybe came from this type of music. So from the spirituality, or I'm sorry, from the spirituals to gospel, and then of course gospel. If you ever listen to traditional gospel, it has a blues feel to it, or a blues tone to it. I've told everybody, of course, I'll be 50 this year. I remember going to church as a kid. You know, the gospel songs that you hear now are totally different than the gospel songs that you heard when you were a kid. So I'm saying that to say this. So then we have blues. Blues is a derivative of that gospel music, because if you listen to blues, and blues broke off into several different cultures, because it started out in the South, and then you have things like Chicago blues, Delta blues, all of those things like that. So basically what happened there was, if you listen to the lyrics very closely and you listen to the lyrics of spirituals as well as traditional gospel music, you can hear it kind of has the same tone. One is just kind of talking a little bit more about worldly things and struggling with those things, as opposed to, okay, I'm struggling with spiritual things, but when I get to this side or when I get to this place, everything will be okay. I don't want to scare anybody, so I'm not going to put on any blues, because I would put on like I'm not going to put on the real blues like the John Lee Hooker and stuff like that. But I would do some Johnny Taylor, but people act like they don't know what Johnny Taylor is. So I'm not going to do Johnny Taylor and Bobby Bland. I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do, okay, here's the thing. Blues came about in about the late 1800s, as well as jazz. Jazz came about around the late 1800s as well. It's not necessarily a derivative of anywhere, and people when you read the history, people don't know whether jazz came first or blues. They just know both of them came around in the late 1800s, and jazz again was born and it was actually born in New Orleans.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was a mixture of music, and because of the different cultures that were down in New Orleans, that's where jazz was born. If you listen to jazz, there are several different types of jazz. Even if you listen to Coltrane and Miles Davis, you'll hear different eras. You can tell what era they were in when they were playing that jazz. Also, make it very clear, and I am going to put on a little jazz today, but also understand this. This is how talented we are. We also have opera singers. Like we had Marian Anderson, I think, maybe back in 30s or 40s, I can't remember. But she actually was a very popular opera singer, even among white people or Caucasian people. She was very popular. We also had people like Leontine Price as time progressed and things of that nature. So understand this. We are an extremely talented people. So what I want to jump into right now, I'm going to have you hit me with 2 songs in a row. I want you to hit me with Mr. Magic by Grover so we can listen a little bit, to that jazz. And then I want you to move me into Lady Marmalade with Patti LaBelle and the LaBelles, because you know what, from the blues, the R&B popped in.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I want you to hit me with those 2 really quickly. teaching you some French right there.
Really?
See how you learn? See how you learn in the song, even though it may not have been the best message, but hey.
Hey, but for one of my rappers, they had incorporated one of their songs.
Really?
He did a little. I would think, I'm like, yo, who this? And I thought about it. I'm gonna have to listen to it when we get off the air. Definitely.
So yeah. So here's the thing: R&B, of course, is a derivative of blues. R&B came about like maybe around 1940s or something like that. It started out being doo-wop, the doo-wop music and all those things like that, and then it basically what it did was it transitioned into other things over time. And when I say other things, I'm not a musician, but you can listen to the rhythms and the beats. And so what happened is over time, just like anything else, it progresses.
Yep.
At this stage, I'm not sure if it has progressed for the best, but that's my opinion. That's Donna's opinion. But as time moved on, things progressed. So from R&B, we have several types of music, all right, that have come out of R&B. One of which is, well, I'll let you guess. What do you think? What do you think a type of music is that's come out of R&B?
Soul, like you said, like neo soul,
right?
And yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna go with.
So neo soul, that's one that came out about in the late '90s. And for those of you who don't know what neo soul is, that is a combination of soul and R&B, and that's for people like Badu, Miss Badu, Jill Scott, Maxwell, Chrisette Michelle, individuals like that. But also, what came out of R&B was funk. Okay. James Brown, believe it or not, funk came about around like the mid '60s, and funk, as you look at it in terms of rhythm. Now, I was researching this. Funk, it actually was originated with James Brown because of one of the rhythms that he put on one of his songs, and I think it wasn't Make It Funky. Of course, it was one. I forgot the name of the one he did, but if you notice from there up until about 1977, 78. He was doing his beats were similar.
Tempo?
The tempo, yep, they were similar. So with funk, my folks with funk, that's the mothership, right? That's the mothership. That's George Clinton, the Bride of Funkenstein. Whenever they would come to town, nobody would say Clinton. They would say the mothership is gonna land, and so you already knew it was gonna be 1,200 people on stage doing their thing. You know what I mean? Having a good time. So what I want you to do, I want you to hit me with some Bootsy.
I do. I'd rather be with you until that day will fly away. I just love that smiling face in the early sun. If I can't have you to myself, then life's no fun. I'd rather be with you, yeah. Yeah, I'd rather be with you. I'd rather be with you, yeah. Yeah, I'd rather be with you. I want to hold your hand, oh, if I can just be a man. I wanna be your friend, not now and then, but until the end. I just love the way you act, and that's a fact. I wanna be your number one, so get to that.
Right, that was Bootsy, baby. Appreciate it.
That's a bad boy. That's a bad man right there.
I appreciate that. That's Bootsy. That's funk, right there. From that, again, there's always music being born out of other music, other rhythms being born out of another rhythm. So it was something that came about, and I know when I was putting this list together and we were talking about genres, I mentioned punk funk, and you were like, "What?"
Yeah,
You
never heard of
just
that. I'm like, that the same thing,
Right? No, that's some Rick James stuff right there. So
definitely Rick James.
yeah, some Rick James, because some of his cuts, although all of his well, I'm not going to say all, the majority had a lot of funk in them. You know, it had the horns back there, it had the guitar on it, all of that stuff. But then as as time went on, you know how people kind of change music styles or add and include other rhythms, like I was saying, into their music. So he kind of, some of his stuff would have a little punk feel to it, and a lot of it was because of the way he dressed sometimes as well, you know. But yeah, so he decided to coin, punk funk. So now another type of music, and it was primarily regional for a long period of time, was music that was in the D.C. area. And the reason I'm familiar with it is because I went to the illustrious Howard University, you know.
That's all I can do.
So when we got up there, it was a lot of us were like, "What is this? What is this? We don't know what this." Put your Gucci watch on, synchronized. We were like, "What is this?" And we just saw people clapping. What's happening? But that actually, again, that's something, and that's a derivative of funk. Now, the godfather of go-go is Chuck Brown. I believe it's Chuck Brown. Here's how we were introduced to go-go, a lot of us who had not lived in D.C. or, been to D.C., lived in that area. So here's how we were introduced to it. This is when D.C. used to be the chocolate city. This is before gentrification, when it was chocolate city. So you would be walking in certain areas, and neighborhood kids would have turned over garbage cans or pails, and they would just be out there playing.
Okay.
And you would hear, and you're like, what's that? And then you would see other kids around them or other people around them dancing. But also they played it a lot on the radio. So what I'm going to do, because we don't have but 8 minutes left, I want you to hit me with Do You Know What Time It Is for a few minutes by Rare Essence. And then what I want you to do, I want you to go straight into I'll House You by the Jungle Brothers, because that was another type of music that was really popular. It was popular in Chicago, but it was popular in Baltimore as well. Actually, that's how I was introduced musically to Frank Ski, because Frank Ski used to work up in Baltimore before he came down.
Okay.
Before he came down here. So, and he would play house music, sometimes, especially when you were listening to the stations in the Baltimore area. So go ahead and hit me with those two.
Yes, indeed. Don't that sound good? Now make it a little louder, baby, so we can make sure we can turn you down in the mix. Now, I put your Gucci watch on, synchronize your time, and let's pop. We're not doing it yet, man. We're just grooving a little bit. One more time. Just one more time. One more time. Synchronize your time and let's rock. Oh, yes, indeed. Let's say well done. All right.
Daddy's all party and touching my body and talking to me like I'm a kindergarten today. Still tomorrow she's on here, but don't worry about me because I know what time it is. Time to get mine while you're trying to get yours. I'll get my paws in those silky junk. You try to take me to the cleaners and I gotta check, cause all you're ever gonna get is a piece of my did you know that my girl in my toe is easy to come and harder to go? I hope you got a good heart and you're a good sport, cause I'ma treat you like we were on a basketball court. I'm gonna run you around, take you up and down, turn you out and leave you in the lost and found. So if you wanna be down, you better listen up, and before you're dealing with me, you better know what time it is.
JB's, y'all. Yeah. JB's, y'all.
Check this out.
Girl, I'll house you. Girl, I'll house you. Girl, I'll house you. You in my hut now. My hut. Girl, I'll house you. Girl, I'll house you. Girl, I'll house you. You in my hut now. When you're in my hut, you know what's up. Let your mind be free. Relax your body. Jump, jump a little higher. Jump, jump until you get tired. House your body. House your body. House your body to the base. House it all over the place. So don't let nobody in your way. Tonight's your night, today's your day. Africa will steer you wrong. House music all night long. 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 I house you, don't you know? I house you, don't you know that? I house you, you in my hut now. Don't you know that? I house you, don't you know? He will. I house you, yo. I house you, you in my hut now.
Check. All right, Mr. Smith. That's the house music. So
Got me jumping all around. Jeez.
you know what? When I lived in Atlanta the first time in early '90s, it was certain clubs you had to go to listen to house music. It wasn't as by then it wasn't as prevalent.
Yeah.
You know, so it was certain clubs you had to go to, or you would have underground parties, and they would put baby powder out on the floor, sand out on the floor, so it helped you move better when you were out there dancing. So
I wish they did that nowadays.
house music, it was just freeing. It was just you could just go out there, dance, and just let everything loose, just do whatever you want to, and everybody just had a good time.
Yeah.
The energy and the vibe was great. So we're gonna close out with my guy, and the reason I'm closing out with my guy is because I think he's a culmination of all of these different types of music. Very talented gentleman. I was telling you I saw him twice in concert, gave an excellent show. So the person I'm talking about is Prince. I have a lot of his. I have a lot of his albums. I have his albums, not his CDs, not iTunes, not EPs. I have a lot of his. I still like my wax. So here's the thing. This was a guy that could play like about 20-something instruments. He taught himself how to play all of those instruments. And when you listen to his music and you listen to his different albums, what you can hear in his music is his talent. And what you also hear is he put every genre of music, he allowed almost every genre of music to influence how he played. Mm-hmm. And he was able to synthesize that music and make all of it sound fantastic. To me, that was the best Super Bowl show. Like right now, the Super Bowl shows, they're awful. Yeah. That's my opinion. So it doesn't mean that people aren't talented, but I'm like, hey, is this really a Super Bowl show right here?
It really ain't.
So he did, because you know what? His music transcends generations, and it also transcends the different populations, the different across. You know, people who like country music, they like him. People who like rock music, they like him. People who like punk, R&B, and I think that was fantastic. So the cut that I'm asking you to play is one that like when he first started out. So is for people who knew him when he first started and he first hit the scene, and everybody's like, who is this cat wearing these heels right here? Wearing these boots. Yeah. You know, my mom used to say, she said, wear some pretty shoes. You know? But go ahead and play that for me and then take me out. Go ahead.
Can you stand the pain?
Okay, so you've been listening to Donna today, not Dr. Sewell. You've been listening to Donna on the Wellness Enclave. This is part 1 of Celebrating Black Music Month. Please tune in next week, of course. But if you want to hear the second part of this, we're going to play the second part on June 26th. That will be the second segment of Celebrating Black Music Month. And what I want to do at that time is I want to highlight how we have been able to fuse these different genres together and still make excellent music and we have excellent artists. So again, you've been listening to the Wellness Enclave with Dr. Donna Sewell, where emotional health and wellness is our top priority. And as always, I hope you guys have a fantastic day and a happy and healthy week.
This has been the Wellness Enclave with Dr. Sewell. Join us each Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. on WWWE The Real 1100 AM. We look forward to growing with you.